Now, moving on to issues of social development, Lynette Maart, who is the director of the Black Sash, says although they do support the extension of the COVID-19 grant, it is, however, inadequate. The Human Rights Organisation has demanded the grant be aligned with the upper bound poverty line of 1,268 rand. Lynette Maart joins us live now. A very good evening to you, Ms. Martin. Thank you so much for your time. Now, Lynette is the director of the Black Sash. A very good afternoon to you. Now, Lynette, yes, we do know that you are in support of the extension of the grant, but what you are saying is that there is a need for more money and that perhaps there needs to be a criteria that must be expanded for who actually qualifies for the social grant. Talk us through this.
Good evening, Tammy, and good evening to your viewers. Thank you for the opportunity. Let me start by saying that we are faced with a very serious pandemic, and the immediate threat of that pandemic is not over yet. We're still looking to procure large-scale vaccines, and we know that there's a third wave of the virus, and some are even saying a fourth wave of the virus. So until then, economic growth will be constrained, and it's very important that healthcare, food, and social security, particularly social assistance, remain important lifelines for many people. So what we are saying in the president's speech, he made three facts. The first one, he says that we must overcome poverty, joblessness, and hunger. He also said that there was a decline of 6.6% in the economic growth, resulting in about 1.7 million. And some would even say that that figure is 2.2 million, depending on what definition you use. And that the unemployment rate where we are now, the president said 30.8, but some will even take that to 43%. So we're sitting with a lot, and how we calculate the figures is to say at the moment there's just under 10 million people who have applied for the COVID social relief of distress grant. And about 3 million of those people have been rejected. Then we know that there's been a caregivers grant, which was supplied to about 7.1 million people. And this grant government terminated in October. And we know that that has detrimental consequences for particularly unemployed women, because the grant for the child is for the child, it's not for the adult. So the projections of the president in terms of economic recovery seems to be of significant employment opportunities by the end of 2021, seems to be slightly sort of unrealistic. So what we are saying that in terms of this extension, one of the things that government must do immediately is to adjust the eligibility criteria to include adult women who are unemployed and who have no income, and those who are receiving the child support grant, because as I said, it's for the child, it's not for the adult female. The second one is that we're saying, yes, we would like the grant to be at that high level, but for now, 350 actually needs to be adjusted to 585 Rand, because that is the food poverty line. Ultimately, we need to move towards that upper bound poverty line. But furthermore, we are saying that government extended this grant. We hope that this is the beginning of a permanent grant for those between the ages of 18 to 59, and that government, in fact, make sure that in the new plan, there are some allocation for that.
Now, let me ask you this, Ms. Maart. You're also part of a campaign that you as Black Sash has actually initiated, the Amandla.mobi petition. What is this petition all about? What are you aiming to achieve?
Okay, what we are saying is that at the moment, there is a gap in the provision of social assistance. There's a social assistance grant for a child, for a elderly person, and for a disabled person. There's a mix. But the one thing that is missing is that there isn't income support for those between the ages of 18 to 59 who has no income or little income. And the United Nations International Covenant of Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, which the South African government has signed, has ratified, made recommendations in 2018 to suggest that government must immediately ensure that those between the ages of 18 to 59 who has no income or little income support must be attended to. So it's on that basis.
Ms.
In
Maart,
terms of the Amanda.Mobi petition, we are asking people to sign for that, a permanent income support for those between the ages of 18 to 59 with no or little income. And
Ms. Maart, are we not, in as much as obviously it comes from a very noble place to make sure that people have food on the table, especially when they're unemployed, considering the high unemployment rate in our country, does that not then perhaps pose a risk to put us and create a welfare state out of South Africa and its citizens, should that be the case?
Well, I think social development changed from welfare to development. We have a situation where many people don't have food in their houses. And as government is rolling out, I mean, the president said yesterday that they are working with the private sector to create more jobs. And as those jobs unfold and whatever, some of the people will come off that system. And it's also a measurement for us to see how many jobs are we creating. And I think at this point in time, we have a pandemic that is devastating. And if people don't get food together with their medicines and whatever, we are in for a very, very hard time. So no, it's not about creating welfare and dependence. In fact, many people are saying well-targeted social assistance programs go a long way in addressing inequality, unemployment, and all the other things that is labeled in terms of welfare to grants.
Ms. Lynette Maart, thank you so much for your time and your insight there. That's Ms. Lynette Maart, Director of the Black Sash. The petition that they are running is on Amanda.Mobi. Do stay with us more with the day's leading stories when we return. We'll also unpack the President's State of the Nation address in regard to the supply of power and how various stakeholders within that sector now have opportunities to be game players.